especially uh, a transparent. Actually, that's a movie coming out about transgender individuals. I want to see that. But as a parent who happens to be transgender like myself, in my case male to female, um, and I'm a father to my son no matter what, even though I transitioned to become a woman, and I clearly state to my son that I want him to address me as his father, and that's how he should. I don't want him to be conflicted or confused. And we have a good relationship. I'm very blessed. I think very highly of my son, and I'm very happy as a father. Um, I'm also happy in transitioning to become a woman also.
Did you know that only 69% of families are heterosexual compared to the 80% in 1970? And compared to the stereotypes, many children being raised by same sex homes live in poverty. The average annual income for same sex families is 15,000 behind opposite sex families. And children raised by an LGBT parent of color are more likely to be poor than those raised by a white LGBT parent. So, what's the problem? Well, it's more like what isn't a problem. LGBT single parent families, especially from low income households, don't know there are assistant options. They don't know who to turn to or who to ask for help, or how to ask for help either. They are afraid they will not be taken seriously or that they will lose their jobs. Aid is necessary because LGBT families do get fired and face harassment for being among the LGBT community. There's a stigma that the LGBT community is wealthier, and that is not true. So, no, seriously, what is the problem? LGBT families face higher tax rates. Transgender parents make limited income, on average $10,000 a year. Children go to less welcoming schools. There's a risk of losing children due to state laws or lack thereof. They cannot afford financial aid. There's a risk of violence and harassment. There's a risk of reduced access to health insurance, and the cost is so much greater when discussing single parent, low income LGBT families. The problem is that if they happen to know about the aid, how can they afford it and what can they do to better their families? It's a vicious cycle that can nearly be impossible to break. So, what options are there? Well, actually, there's quite a few. Just to name a few, I actually did talk to Nate of Have a Gay Day. I also reached out to the local chapter of PFLAG, but I never heard back from them. But I did talk to have a member of Have a Gay Day out in Ohio, and he told me a few places that would offer assistance, like Lambda Legal, and also to reach out to local social workers as well. So I just talked to my sister because she had done that part for her own um, project, because she did a similar one, albeit for cisgender displaced workers, for homosexuals and LGBT families, and cisgender male fathers, heterosexual fathers, instead of just cisgender heterosexual females. Um, Anyway, so I talked to her a little bit, and so this is what I came up with my own research, as well as talking to my sister about her research. So there is the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as TANF, which is the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, aka food stamps, and Women, Infants, and Children, aka WIC, which men can also use. There is the National Center for Lesbian Rights, which is a national nonprofit public interest law firm that advocates for equitable profit and public policies affecting the LGBT community, and they provide free legal assistance to LGBT clients and their legal advocates. There's the LAS ELC Gender Equity and LGBT Rights Program, which they provide programs to advance the rights of low wage women and families and LGBT, transgender, um, or LGBT individuals, as well as survivors of domestic and sexual violence, pregnant women, caregivers, veterans, um, and other underrepresented workers and students. There's the Family Equality Council, and they provide advocacy organizations and that are committed to securing family equality for LGBT parents, guardians, and allies. And there's also the Movement Advancement Projects, also known as MAPS, and they provide research, insight, and analysis to help speed equality for LGBT people, focused on 3 areas: policy and issue analysis, movement overviews, and effective messaging. And of course, there's also the Affordable Care Act. And then, however, it is proven that single fathers will be better off financially than single mothers. They are less likely to be in poverty and have better chances of a stable job. So, in conclusion, the issue that lies throughout all of this research is that there's so little research and so little information for anyone outside of cisgender women for single parent aid. Most aid and various organizations are geared toward cisgender women only, and for some, especially small town agencies that specialize with female single mothers who are domestic abuse survivors, when they take on male domestic abuse survivors or just male single parents, the caseworkers feel uncertain or uncomfortable with their new male clients. And that uncertainty based on sex and that possible sexuality leads to a decision to either not provide care, or that hesitance is so strong that the client will go elsewhere. Like I said before, there's organizations that will work with these single parents who identify as LGBT. However, the average clientele are cisgender female mothers. However, with the new marriage equality laws and also the growing rate for divorce, there could be more research soon for aid and all of the benefits. So I'm really looking forward to that, as well as my sister too. She's going into social work, so both of us are really looking forward to that. So yeah, now I will be taking questions. So if you want to turn to me in the room, wherever I am, probably that way. Now I'll be taking questions and comments. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. So please ask away. Thank you.